So honestly, the thing that we talk about the most and the thing I'd really love your listeners to hear is all the strategies you've been sold are bullshit. And the reason why they're bullshit is because the strategy you've been sold is someone else's success strategy. Now, the truth is, and this is how we teach business, you are the strategy.
We have the most incredible and amazing Emma Dunwoody is in the house. Welcome, sister.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to talk to you. One of my favorite humans.
Finally, had the pleasure of going on your show, and then I was like, you need to get on my show. And then 2025, as you know, happened, and finally you're here. So thank you so much. You already know because I saw you, I think last year, October, was it? October, we got to hang out in real life.
Yeah, wow. Was that October?
I know. I feel like it was October. It was wild, but I got to squeeze you, and your book is so amazing. I've gifted it to so many people. Some of my clients who are like, I don't understand this, are now like, oh my God, I think I'm going to add this to my program. I love it. Blah, 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 blah. So if somebody is listening to this and they don't know you yet, or they haven't read your book yet, can you explain what you do, the book, and just like top level so someone who's listening can go and download it? And we're going to link everything in the show notes, of course.
Yeah, wow. So what I do, well, I work with human design. I have one of the leading podcasts in human design globally, the Human Design Podcast. I did write a book. It's called Human Design Made Simple. And you can get it in Australia, Europe, the US, everywhere. And ultimately, I suppose my vision is that I really believe that human design is something that is going to take us into this new era. In human design, we talk about the new paradigm. Like, in case you hadn't noticed, the old way is burning down.
Yeah.
And human design is the way that we take back our power. We step into who we really are authentically. We once more become the authority in our own life. And ultimately, I teach a lot of business, so I'm helping a lot of people succeed. But really, it's all about, you've got this life. You may as well enjoy it, and you are coded to live it in a very specific way.
Yes. So I loved it because when I got your book, like my husband loves the human design, and he was really big on Gene Keys. And then we hit human design a while back when I had a friend who was obsessed with it. But I think I told you this on your show, it got a bit like, I don't know, it got so like, I can't do that because I'm this, I can't do this because I'm that. And I was just like, I hate that. Like I go against all of that. I'm like, what if you were adopted? What if you didn't know? Like, what if you lived your whole life pretending and believing something and then you realize it wasn't true? So we kind of moved away. But then recently my husband came back to it last year because I'm a psycho and he's a projector. And our energy is so different, Emma, and like, it's great. But I just, and he's just like, I'm trying to keep up with you.
Yeah.
I think this is not good for me. So he actually came into it. And it was funny because your book was coming out and Penguin sent me the book. And he was just like, oh my God. And so it took Hamish down this massive rabbit hole. And I love how you wrote it because you really allowed, if you're listening to this podcast or watching us on YouTube and you're like, wait, what is human design? I don't understand. Like, Emma, you made it so clear and so digestible. Literally, it's easy, like, to understand the way that you did it. How has it been taken by the world? Because I know you went everywhere with the book. The book went all over the world. How have you gotten, like, what's the feedback been back from people that maybe haven't explored human design after going through it your way?
Well, I love this question because I get the same responses you've given me. I think one of the biggest challenges with human design is when we come to it, something in us is like, yeah, this feels good. This resonates. Yeah. And then our mind gets introduced to all that complex information. We, hit overwhelm and like, like, I'm out. I can't do this. It's too hard. So I hear a lot, that I feel like my book is kind of like a gateway drug, like when you pick up Human Design Made Simple, it takes all of the overwhelm out of it. You don't need to know all the deepest depths of your human design. Really, with the book, what I do is I give you all the, what I call the macro, and then the path into all the micro in a way that you can experiment with it. So what happens is you learn the information, but then you actually have an experience of it, which means you integrate what you learn. So
Yeah.
ultimately, the book's been hugely successful for exactly that reason. And I do have a mission to take human design mainstream. I want it to be really acceptable all over the place. I would love to think, if my boys have kids, when I have grandchildren, that they would go to school with their human design. So we're
Nice.
actually teaching kids the actual child in front of us, as opposed to teaching them that they have to, be at this mythical line that none of them are at.
It's huge too, because I think you start to realize it's almost like, when one of my friends had ADHD and she knew she had it, but she went and got the diagnosis, and she is so much lighter. She is so much happier. She's just like, oh, I understand myself. And I never got that because I'm sure I have ADHD triple D, and I'm just like, it's a superpower. But this is such a tool, because if you understand your energy, if you understand your codes, if you understand who you are and how you're meant to operate, it opens so much up. And because of your book, Hamish was like, hey, babe, let me introduce myself to you. I'm not like you, and this means I need this. And you're right, because it was a gateway. Like, he went down this whole rabbit hole trying to find more information about how he can work, how he can be a projector in business. He's a 3-5, like how we cross together. And then our whole team, we read everyone's human design. Everybody read your book in the team, and they were like, oh, this makes sense. And so I find, like, if you're listening to this, it is such an easy way to start to understand this, and it gives you this kind of clarity about yourself. So for you, when did this become an interest? Like, what was your background with finding human design?
Yeah, so I came across human design probably the first time around 2015. Which is when I also started my master coach program. So I trained to become a master coach, kind of transitioned out of an advertising career, tried a bunch of other things in between. Of
Wow.
course I did, because I'm a manifesting generator. Like, people laugh at me because I'm like, I've been, a very successful sports person. I've managed an equestrian property. I've been a chef. I've worked in advertising. Like,
So good.
it's all over the place. And ultimately, I had a coaching business, corporate coaching. I was helping the C-suite and leadership and teams and all that sort of stuff. And, I've always been a spiritual person, but I was definitely in the spiritual closet. So I'm not going to use any modality that's a little bit woo, because I just didn't feel comfortable. And when human design came to me the first time, I rejected it, because I'm like, dude, I know I'm constantly falling down and getting back up again as a line 3. I'm like, I don't need to hear this shit.
Yeah.
So the next time, it was probably a year or so later, and I picked it up, and I was well into my business and my training, and the language was really negative in human design. So I'm like, our language is how it really contributes to how we create our reality. I'm going to put it down. And then in 2018, like, I was sitting in a place in my life where I'd had total transformation in my life. And I'd gone from being suicidal, depressed, anxious, like, life was terrible in every area, to actually creating this life where I was doing I felt like finally I was on purpose. I had 2 amazing kids. We'd moved from regional Victoria to Sydney. My mental health was fantastic. And I'm kind of like, well, why do I still feel lost? In that process, after walking 800 kilometers across Spain, I
Wow.
finally said to the universe, I'm like, you need to really hit me over the head, because there's a missing piece. What is this missing piece? Because I know there's like just one little other thing that I need to discover. And when I got home from the Camino, the pilgrimage that I'd done, human design just popped up everywhere within 24 hours. Now, back in 2018, no one was talking about human design. It was not a thing. And when I was like, oh, but does it have to be that? Because I don't want to ask my C-suite clients for their time of birth, like, that feels
Be
really
that person.
uncomfortable.
When were you born?
Yeah, exactly. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe this is it. I'm willing to at least experiment. And I just Googled human design expert Sydney, I think. And the only leading expert in Australia lived 10 minutes away from me. I'm like, that's weird. And then 48 hours later, I'm sitting there having coffee with her, and she's reading my chart, and this complete stranger knows me better than anyone else on the planet. And I'm like,
Oh my
okay.
God.
And that was the thing where that was the moment that I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do the experiment, because human design's an experiment. It's not a dogma. I'm going to run my own experiment. And if my life gets better, then I will stick with it. If it doesn't, I'm going to let it go. And so quickly, big things started to shift. I introduced it with my clients really quickly. I think my first client was that stereotypical founder, CEO, man, wife and kids, very like it's all about performance. And I remember asking him for his birth time, and he's like, yeah, sure. Do you want all my family as well? Yep, off you go. And because I had this experience of like, shit, I've already built all this trust. Anything I ask him to give a go, he's going to give it a go.
Wow.
And that was it. It was just like a snowball. And for me, it was a real proof of following your strategy and authority. Like you don't get faced with, oh, that's a bit weird or that's a bit out there. Like I was just following the breadcrumbs. I was running my own human design experience, and it just felt like the doors kept opening or the windows kept opening.
And then from there, were you like, did everything from you make sense? Because when you just shared all the jobs you did, I was like, oh my God, like I've lived a million lives, and they've all been great.
Yeah. So I think for me personally, when I first dived into my human design, and it's really interesting because now I use it as part of a model when I'm teaching people their design. Like there were parts of it that I resonated with so deeply straight off the bat, like being a manifesting generator. Like when I learned you are a non-linear being, you will jump from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. It looks like this, but it's in fact that. I was like, thank God, because I'd been trying to, force myself into a career that I would spend my life doing. And honestly, I would rather like smack myself on the back of the head than do that. Like I'm not interested. So that was this first moment of, okay, and I'm an emotional authority. So all of a sudden, because it's always felt really uncomfortable for me to answer in the moment like that. Like I really don't know. It can feel like a real blur. Whereas over time, my clarity just drops in. So that was the next piece. But the more I dived into it, there were certain parts of it that I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And what I actually discovered is when you get into your design, whatever you resist about your design is what you resist about you. So it's like often the biggest wound that you have, the thing you don't want to show the world or you don't want to admit to yourself. So human design really helps you come home to you, to align to your authenticity. It's really not about doing something new. It's about letting go of all of the conditioning and the doing and the masks and the trying to be someone you're not, and instead just living from your truth, from your authenticity.
I love it. It's so funny because I want to go into it because when I have mine up, that's what I was trying to grab. I've done so many people. So I'm pretty sure I did Stephen Bartlett and his girlfriend at the time, and now she's his fiance. I gave it to him as a gift. I was like, because he always talks on his podcast about how she's so spiritual and breath work, and he's like, not like that at all. And I'm like, dude, here you go. There's a relationship one for you. Just because I tried to give him something different. And it was so interesting seeing how there's so many pieces of it that are different. Like you say, you're a manifesting generator. And then we're like, yeah. But then when I met you, I'm like, your energy's so calm and centered and grounded. And then you're like, my response is emotional. And then I'm not. I'm like ad-libbing on the spot, And so it's kind of cool because it does feel like this is unique to you and there's so many facets to it and you can go deeper into it. And I remember when I looked at my centers, which I would love for you to explain just in case someone's like, what are you guys talking about? But the centers that were open, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense as to why that's like that. And so if someone doesn't understand this, maybe talk through how does this come about? Like how does the time of birth, the date, the place matter to your style and then your numbers? I know I'm asking you a lot, but yeah, like if someone's like, wait, what is all this? It's not just the title, it's the numbers, it's the cross, it's the open centers and all that.
Yeah, so human design is a synthesis of 4 ancient wisdoms, okay? So we're talking Western astrology, the Kabbalah, which is the tree of life. Then we've got the I Ching, which is the 64 ways that you can change, so Chinese ancient wisdom, and the Hindu chakra system. So all 4 of these ancient wisdoms have been mathematically mapped together. Here comes the complication, right? Then to get our chart, we need to have an accurate time of birth, the city, country we were born in. and obviously birth date. Now, the reason why we need that is because we, at that moment in time, we all have these, in the universe, there are these things called neutrinos. So neutrinos are these subatomic particles. They're really, really, really tiny. This isn't just woo, something we made up. This is something that we know that neutrinos are fundamental to our universe. There's I think it's hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent in Japan studying neutrinos because they're fundamental to life and to consciousness. So what happens at our time of birth, we actually take a reading effectively of the neutrinos that are moving through us, because when neutrinos move through matter, they take a little piece of that matter and they drop it off in the other matter that they're moving through. So they literally leave an imprint of these celestial bodies, so the planets, the sun, the moon, they leave an imprint coded in your DNA at your time of birth. So this is where we actually get our chart from. Then, then we literally move into, we're going to get our type, which is the most macro thing that we're going to get. But you've already, what you've already said is really important. I think so many people put themselves in a bucket of type, and there's technically 4 types and a hybrid. So you and I are the hybrid, the manifesting generator. But they find out their type and then that's it. Well, I can't do this because I'm that. It's absolute bullshit, because really there's over 2 billion expressions of the human design chart. So it's very rare. And I always love to say, my background is behavioral profiling. So I've used a number of different profiling tools, and I can be up the front of a room with 60, 80 people, and I can pretty much tell you their disc profiles just by watching them interact in a room. I'm really good at reading human behavior. Now with human design, it's just not that easy because it's so unique to the individual. So you start with your type, then you want to know your strategy and your authority, because these are the 2 things that really lead you through life. Your strategy is kind of how the universe talks to you and guides you, and your authority is your internal guidance system, your decision making. Then we move into profiles. You can have 2 numbers. So you're a 2-4, I'm a 3-6. Sorry, you're a 2-6, I'm a 3-6. Sorry, 3-5. Look at me. I'm all over the shop today. Yeah, you're a 4-6 and I'm a 3-5.
Oh, that's
so these 2 numbers that we have, I like to call it your how. It's how you move through life. It's how you learn. It's how you serve. They're 2 very significant themes that basically govern your life, or the themes, the energetic themes of your life. Then we kind of start to go into the deeper, areas. We start to look at your gates and your channels and your centers. So your centers, so for you, you've got to define throat, G center, sacral, and solar plexus. And basically what that means is you have consistent and reliable energy in those centers. But in all the other centers, head, ajna, will center, root center, spleen center, you actually pick up, amplify, and reflect back other people's energy. Excuse me.
Anja center. I always wondered what that was.
The ajna, yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, let's use the ajna in your chart for an example. I have no definition in the head and the ajna as well, so the top 2 centers. And one of the big things for us is mental clarity. That's not our jam. We're not going to have mental clarity. That's just not our thing. We're actually, and my mentor, she used to say, people with an undefined head and ajna, it's like they've got the filing cabinet, they've got the information, but it's exploded.
Yeah.
There is no order. And I'm yes, that's exactly how it feels. So you don't get mental clarity. It's not your jam. But your jam is that you take in everybody else's questions, answers, mindset, all of that stuff, and you amplify it. So you read a room, the mental energy of a room, So it's where we find things like our intuition, because we can really feel into other people's energy. So that's kind of like a jumping off point.
Yes. What is an ajna? Where is that? Is it your heart or your?
No. So the ajna, the top triangle that's facing up, that's your head. The next one down is the ajna. So it's a mental energy, and you've got the gate 11. So the gate 11 is the gate of ideas, and basically you're an ideas machine. One of the challenges is you think that every idea you have you need to implement. This
Yeah.
is not true.
Yeah.
The only ideas you have to implement are the ones that your strategy and authority tell you to implement. Otherwise, it might be something you give to someone else, or it's like just something passing through,
Yeah.
but it's a big, big energy for you.
That's so crazy because I think to the not self theme and the strategy and the authority, like understanding your authority. And would you say like where your power is that like where your power would come from?
Yeah, I think, look, your power, in my opinion, your
Yeah.
power comes from authenticity.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people in my world talk about purpose. Of course I do, because that's a thing that I was hunting for most of my
Yeah.
life. And the truth is that what I've come to understand is that our purpose is to be ourselves, is to be our authentic self. And ultimately, when you follow that, that's going to get you, on this path to where you need to be.
I love that because I think you start to understand it's cool because it explores and opens you up to going into the different facets of you and understanding the parts of you. And I think when I hear you talk about it, when I read the book, it didn't feel like this is, gospel, like this is 100% the way it is. And I don't know if this is my type or what, but I fight that. And I think all my work that I did with my therapist and clairvoyants and shamans, and it was all about removing meaning. And so then at one point in my healing journey, like I had no meaning. So like you got your period, so what does that mean? You're hungry, so what? Don't be a grumpy bastard. Like, like I literally lost meaning, which for me was good because I was in my victimhood for so long. And so I got to recreate what meaning was. But then when someone was like, you're a Gemini, you're a Enneagram 8, you're a manifesting generator 4/6, and I was like, that doesn't mean shit. But slowly I've started to come back in, and your book helped a lot to understand, well, there's so much meaning here and there's so much that you can do with this. When it comes to
Can I just
yeah, yeah,
respond to something on
yeah,
that, because
please.
it's really interesting. Number one is that you actually have the gate 28, which is the gate of struggle. It's in your Saturn. Saturn is where you learn from the consequences, effectively, of not living in alignment of your values.
Yeah.
And the gate of struggle is all about when you're in your shadow, you choose to struggle. When you're in the gift, you find meaning and you realize that it's bigger than you. So it's even interesting that you tell that story, because it's there in your design. And so often that's what's going to happen. You're going to literally see that the stories you tell, the things you feel. I often say human design is going to language what you feel on the inside. And I do want to respond to what you said about, people say, well, I'm a this and I'm a that. I'm really big on not putting labels on things,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, from my perspective, human design is here to empower people, not disempower people. It's not here to give you a label or an excuse.
Yeah.
It's here to help you understand what you're feeling. Because at the end of the day, we're moving to an era where this thing, the mind that we've had on a pedestal, it's losing its power. It's always going to be amazing. Like, our subconscious mind is incredible, especially when it's in alignment.
Yeah.
But the point is, our heart needs to be leading. Our soul needs to be leading. So what our human design does is really just confirms, oh my God, I feel this thing in me. And this confirms that, yep, that's true. So don't listen to the conditioning or the story. It's like, this feeling has been languaged for me. This is definitely resonates with me, or it doesn't.
Yeah. And I love that. And I think that you're the only person that I've ever come across that has a book that makes you feel like that. It's like, hey, this is not a matter of fact. This is not locking you in a box. This is not making you have to be like this. It really is a gateway, your book, because it's exploratory and you open it up to this could be this, and let's look into that, and let's find meaning here. And I think people can go off. And what have you seen with your clients when they get, their profile read from you and they have their human design? What do people usually tend to do? Do they go off on different things, or do they kind of stick with one area, especially I guess in business? Like what is what you're usually seeing?
Well, I think honestly, it's something that once you start working with your design, you can't stop, because fundamentally what you're doing is you're changing effectively the mechanisms in your brain. You're moving from the head, the conditioning, the subconscious programming, decision making, and you're moving down into the body. So what you're actually there's this paradigm shift happening where you start to realize that, hey, it's not all on me. There's something bigger than me and I'm plugged into it. And when
Mm.
I start to listen to the energetic biofeedback in my body or through my authority or, knowing my design or knowing that, I'm feeling this thing right now, but I know because I don't have a defined root center, that pressure is not my pressure, it's probably that person's
Mhm.
pressure, that all of a sudden you start to be able to really make sense of this feeling. Okay. So it's very much about shifting from here to here. So it's kind of like often people will come to me for something very specific. Like we are teaching a lot of business at the moment, but I got to tell you, like we are kidding ourselves if we think this new paradigm, this new world, if
Mm.
we think that this whole silo stuff is going to stick around,
Yeah.
And when I say that, like if you think of the medical industry, or you think about schooling, or you think about all sorts of things. There's a silo. Like if you do this, then you're in this group, and then you're in this subset, this silo
Mhm.
of the silo. Like the science and the spirituality don't talk to each other. But
Yeah.
now research shows us that the two are intrinsically
Yes.
connected. So
Yes.
this is happening with the human. This is happening with us too. And I just taught this inside my collective HDX today. Like at the end of the day, we do teach a lot of business. Business is really high on our
Mm.
agenda. However, it's never just business. It's
Yeah.
parenting, it's money, it's romantic
Yeah.
relationships, it's all of it, because we are moving to this time where you can't decompartmentalize. Like that doesn't happen. You don't take your work hat off and go home.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
want to be our authentic self wherever we go. So
Yeah.
I think that this is really, once you start, it doesn't matter where you start, it's going to affect every area of your life. And that is the way the world is going.
Mm. And it's so true because I think now you have your kids, like as you're seeing your children, and when we did our kids, it's so funny because our kids are split, like there's a 2-5 and a 5-2. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, oh my God, like I'm trying to understand it for them because, and you have to be careful because you also don't want to put anything on them, but they start to naturally come about of who they are, right? And so how are you, or how did you navigate, or how do you recommend parents that are interested in it navigate, understanding their children through human design when they're little
Yeah.
versus, as they grow up?
It's such a great question. The beauty of knowing your kids' human design is that you stop projecting
Mm.
yourself onto them. Now, one thing I say over and over again is please don't get your kids' human design and say, you're this and you're that and you're this and you're that,
Mhm.
because you're just conditioning them.
Yeah.
So there is this really cool thing that Ra, who's the guy who brought human design to the world, says you can just show them their chart and it already starts working.
Mm.
Now, in my experience, like I've been parenting my two boys in alignment with their design for nearly 8 years. My eldest just turned 18 last year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. It's a whole thing. It's this
Holy
whole,
crap.
like, being a mum's hard. Like
I know.
I'm so like, God, you're an incredible young man, and
Yeah.
I've raised you to be loving and independent, and now you're leaving
I
me. You're
know.
gonna break up. It's so weird. But
I
anyway,
know.
but parenting, I think the really great benefit is that as their parents, we know what's true
Yeah.
from our perspective. So we don't treat them the way we want to be treated. We
Mm.
treat them what's in alignment to what's correct for them. So, there's little subtle things. I think so. My youngest is a 2-4. And a 2-4 is like it's called the hermit opportunist. So the hermit wants to be alone in their own space, but the line 4, they want to be with everyone else. They want to be in relationships, in
Wow.
groups. So one of the things that I've just been very conscious of as his parent is noticing his cues. So
Yeah.
when it's time for him to switch from one to the other, I've taught him over the years. I'm like, oh, how are you feeling? Do you need a little bit of Oscar time? And, like I've asked
Yeah.
him the question that I would hope he would continue to ask
Himself.
himself. And he's a
Yeah.
sacral being, a sacral manifesting generator. So, straight away he'll tell whatever word comes out of his mouth, I'll see it in his body, like, I'll see his head or whatever.
Hmm.
So it actually helps me support them in the way that they need to be supported without ever telling them who they are, just like asking them yes, no questions, because they're
Yeah.
both manifesting generators. So
Wow.
there's so much that really helps us as parents to go, well, like if you've got a projector child, you want to like make sure that that kid is seen and heard and
Yeah.
acknowledged for their wisdom. Like this is the kid that you're standing in the kitchen on a rainy Sunday and all of a sudden this kid's asking you all these existential questions and like, what about that past life? And hey, I'm not sure that you and daddy really agreed on that thing, even though
Yeah,
you
yeah,
said you do. And you have to acknowledge
yeah,
that kid's seeing these things because they're so good at it. So it
yeah.
just really helps you parent them and give them what they need.
I love that too because it really asks for you to dive deeper and not going, I'm the adult, you're a child, which is what most of society does. It's like, actually, this little being of energy in your home is picking up so much. And my youngest son he's a generator. And I don't know much about a generator. My eldest is a manifesting generator. He's also my Gemini child. He's very like me, but also like my husband. It's weird. But the little one's a Libran. And the one thing when I watch him that comes out of him is his Libranness. And he's just very, Mommy, you're a good cooker. And Daddy, you're also a good cooker, even though Daddy doesn't really cook. I'm like, he just really, so when there's imbalance in the home, you know, we're all aware that he's really looking for this stability and balance, and he's sacral as well. But it's such a different, I think there's something, the incarnation cross that you were mentioning before, is that and I could be totally wrong, but there's something they say in the beginning of your life and then in the second part of your life or the later on in your life. Like,
So this is you. This is your line 6. So as a line 6 profile, in human design, we call it triphasic. It's triphasic. So 0 to 30, there's this theme of trial and error, having experiences, trial and error. Then 30 to 50, what we call go on the roof. So you kind of step back a little bit, whatever that is for you, to create wisdom and kind of heal from childhood and, childhood being below 30, right?
Yeah.
And like really be, okay, so now I'm going to test what I've learned. And then at 50, you actually fully embody the role model, which is what the line 6 is called. And then you really become this person that people just seek out to listen to your journey, to listen to what you have to say, what you've learned, how you see the world, what your visions are for the future. So yeah, that line 6 is more of a longer journey, but it doesn't mean you can't have success in any area beforehand. It just means that in most cases, whatever you've experienced before 50 will be nothing compared to what you'll experience after 50.
And is that like the first number early life and the second number later life, or no? That doesn't have to do.
No. Unless you're thinking about the nodes. So the nodes, we kind of sit in one more predominantly up until our Uranus opposition, which is our early 40s, and then after it, we move into our North node. So it could be that. I'm not sure. But the other thing I just want to quickly, because earlier you said you've got 125 and 152.
Yes.
So they're profiles, but one's a personal profile. So personal's the small number first. So he navigates through life from the personal journey. So he's going to think about me first. But the 5-2 is a transpersonal profile. So they are going to be deeply affected by the other. So other people will be their initiators. Other people will be their reason for being. So, like you can have the same 2 numbers, but if they're flipped, it's a different type of journey.
Yeah, because I thought that was like, that's so wild that the kids have the flip. And I think my husband has 5 as well.
Yeah, did you say at the beginning he's a 3-5?
I think he's like you, but a projector. Yeah, 3-5.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so wild. It's like it's really cool the more you start to step into it and understand it. And I feel like it's a gift that keeps giving like this more and more and more.
There's so much. There's always so much. Like even just you sharing that you've got a 3-5, a 2-5 and a 5-2 in your home. Like the 5 carries this heightened projection field. So one of the challenges of being a 5 is that people see their wound in you. They put expectations on you. Like if you've got a line 5 child, you've got to be really careful you don't project expectations because you're like, I can see you can be an amazing blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But these are these are people that will carry a massive burden of meeting other people's expectations if they're not allowed to set their own, if that makes sense.
Yes. And I can see that for my husband in his life through his dad and all the things that you start to go like, oh, wow. And then when it says like definition, what is that about? Like you're split or single or?
Yeah. So when we talk about our definition, We have everything that's defined is what we call an area of definition. Now, sometimes those areas are all connected. So,
Yeah.
excuse me, so in your situation, in your design, you're a single definition. So what that means, and you're a manifesting generator, which means, and you've got two channels from a motor to the throat. So for you, you're very energetically independent. So energetically, you don't need anyone else. And that can even be a bit challenging for those in
It's
your
so
life because
challenging.
you're like, I don't need anyone else, but
Yeah.
you want other people in your life, but you are
Yeah.
very energetically independent. Now, as soon as we put a split, that means you've got two separate areas of definition. So you could be energetically independent, because I also have that as a manifesting generator,
Yeah.
a motor directly to the throat. And that's what makes us, it's almost like we're we lean a little more to the manifestor side. So
Yeah.
we're very like energetically able to, put things into action, to
Yeah.
create things in the world. Now, that doesn't mean we're better at it. It's just, it's an easier flow of energy.
Mm.
Now, as soon as those areas of definition are split, meaning that on some level we've got different areas are connected, that's when we start to realize, like, okay, well, this person is uniquely designed to be with other people. So if you think about me, for example, I'm a split definition. So I have one area of definition, which is my sacral to the throat. It's the same channel that you've got, the
Yeah.
3420. It's the most powerful channel in the design. It's all
Wow.
about self-empowerment. It's very individual. It's a little bit like, look at me, I'm a superhero kind of energy. And then my other area of definition is between my will center and my solar plexus. So my
Oh,
emotions
wow.
and my heart, like my will center. So what can happen is those two areas can kind of butt heads. I'm actually intrinsically designed to be in relationship with another. So those
Yeah.
energies get bridged. And the cool thing is when you actually geek out on this stuff, like the gate that brings those two areas of energy together, we call a bridge gate. So both my parents had one of my bridge gates and both my kids have the other bridge gate. So
Wow.
it's really cool when you kind of geek out and like, how is this even possible? My team have my bridge gates. Like,
Wow.
it's like when you actually start to see the
Cool.
code of how your designs fit together, you're like, well, obviously, like that. Oh, that makes sense. It's pretty cool.
Oh my goodness. I really love that because then you start to understand. I don't know, it almost feels like all of this was meant to happen in this way. Like I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember my friend back in the day that was like, you have all this crisis in your chart and crisis this. And I was just looking at her like, yep, a lot of crisis. And I feel like the later part of my life is so not boring because it's not boring, but in compared to the horrible, terrible, bad, chaotic stuff, this is like, I feel like I'm in a cruisy, like my life in itself is not toxic and terrible. It's exciting because of business and opportunities,
Yeah.
but it's so, and she was like, yeah, that's all in your chart. And I was just like,
Well, yeah, and I think it's the other thing that you've touched on, and I refer to this, is the cross of Eden. So we all have an incarnation cross, and it's your cross of Eden. So people who have the cross of Eden, the metaphor is that in childhood you'll be thrown out of Eden, and then you will go on a journey to recreate your heaven on earth, because that's what Eden is, right? And then your work in the world, energetically speaking, is helping other people build their Eden, their heaven on earth. So
oh, that makes me emotional. That's
yeah,
lovely.
yeah, like cross of Edens can often have a pretty challenging or traumatic childhood. Not all
Wow.
of them, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it wouldn't be uncommon.
Now I'm like, what is Tony Robbins' human design?
He is
You know?
I think he's a 5-1. Is he a five? He's
Really?
either a 5-1 or a 3-5 pure manifesting generator.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, like you just start thinking about that's really
Oh,
freaking
I
cool.
can't read a book, listen to a
You
podcast, watch
can't.
a movie without looking up their design. Like I'm always looking up people's design.
You'd be like, oh my gosh. And it's so interesting. You're right, because I think when I didn't know about the five, but my son, I think he's got the second profile as a five. He's very like anything I say to him, he's just like, well, do you think and I'm like, whoa, whoa, hold on. What are you trying to, like, you got to decide what you want to do. And it's like, I didn't realize that until you just said that. So that's super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's,
And you know what the beauty is with your two kids? Like you've got two line twos. So the thing is, especially if you think about your journey through life,
yeah.
a line two has to follow what comes easy. They're naturally talented. They're the gifted children. So they have to be encouraged. Like if there's something that they really love, and it won't be something that like it's something that they love and it comes super easy. It's like they have to be encouraged to follow that.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's like you all have to read your human design before you have babies. How good would that be? But I love that you're trying to do that because I think with the way the world is going now, like you said, a lot of people, especially this year, last year was so wild and it feels like a complete shift into, a settling, a calming, a slowing down, a grounding, a tapping into ourselves, like the authenticity. I kept reading all this stuff about social media and I laughed because I'm like, authenticity has not been a strategy. It's just been like, well, it can't be fucked. I'm just going to be who I am. So like, this is it. And now it's like trending to be authentic and trending for you to be vulnerable. And it's like, how awesome that people are going into this place to be able to step into who they are and understand themselves so much better.
Yeah. And like again, it's all there in, the world. Like I'm talking a lot, especially in my spaces. Like last year, I'm sure you guys have talked about this, but last year was a 9-year. Okay. So 9 years, all about endings, closings. We're also in the year of the snake that finishes on the February 17. So that's transformation. Yeah. Then now in 2026, we're sitting in this bridge year, right? Where from a human design perspective, we're literally closing out the old paradigms. So the ways we needed to be to evolve the human race. So they worked until they didn't.
Yeah.
Now they don't work. They're falling apart. They're burning down. They're a complete fucking disaster on the world stage. But the truth is that now I work predominantly with visionaries. You're a visionary. I'm a visionary. Yeah. We're now sitting in 2026 in this bridge between the old and the new. And it's a 1 year. So we're setting the foundations of this next 9-year cycle. But what's even more important than that is that the foundations we create this year and in this 9 years as a collective create the foundation of the new world, of the new paradigm. So what we create in the next 9 years will be what our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, all of that will be the foundation of the life that they live. So authenticity is one of the governing energies of the new paradigm. So it's the 55, the gate 55. And its highest expression is freedom. And it's freedom to be self, to be me, freedom to be authentic. So this is what I love about human design is just because our 3D reality looks like everything is completely fucked, it's not. It's exactly where we're meant to be. And the energy is shifting and changing. So we're going to be supported to really move into a beautiful new world. Our job is to maintain our focus on what we want, not what we don't want.
Oh my God, Emma, this is just, I have to ask you before we wrap because people will be like, why didn't you ask her this? You have a business. You are a beautiful soul. If you listen to this podcast and Emma's podcast, you came here to do something good in the world and you want to make the world a better place. You want to impact in whatever way. Money is usually not the first thing you're focused on, but obviously it's important. What's the work that you're doing? And if people want to understand more about what you do and how you can support them and the importance of this with business, with impact, like what do we need to think of, be mindful of, or understand?
So honestly, the thing that we talk about the most and the thing I'd really love your listeners to hear is all the strategies you've been sold are bullshit. And the reason why they're bullshit is because the strategy you've been sold is someone else's success strategy. Now, the truth is, and this is how we teach business, you are the strategy. So when you know you, when you operate in life as you, when you consciously build a business in alignment, like I have a very big business and a very small team because I have no desire to manage people. I have no ego that needs to have a big fucking business. I don't give a shit. I want to travel. So I have this core team of 4 people, 3 of which are manifesting generators, that we can get so much done. Like, if a poor projector came into our team, they'd be like, oh my God, this shit. But this is how we move. This is how we jive, right? So this is the thing is like, if you really if you want to succeed at anything, it's frequency. It doesn't, at the end of the day, how you feel moment to moment is what you're creating. So if you're trying really hard to create success, then you're going to try really hard to create success. But if you're moving through life authentically as you, feeling free to be you, feeling really magnetic, like every day, all the serendipitous stories I have about my business, like shit just falls in my lap. And it's not that it just falls in my lap. It's because I'm walking my path. I'm listening to my guidance. I'm being me, not trying to be anyone else. I don't give a shit what anyone else is doing. From that competitive perspective, I'm constantly empowering everyone around me. So that frequency is what comes back to me. And I think that human design is going to really help you break all the rules. Another thing I'm saying all the time, break the rules, break the rules, break the rules. You know, I remember very early on, probably 2 years into my human design business, and I've got this collective called HDX, and I'm like, I really want to introduce other teachers. I want to bring other people in. And of course, all the marketing gurus, all the business coaches are like, no, you've worked really hard on building this audience. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to bring these people in. You know, if my people spend money with them, great, we all rise together. And then when I was started to study my gene keys, I realized that in my in my culture, I have a line 4, which is all about networking. I'm meant to have other people in my network and go into other people's network. So what human design starts to teach you is that you don't need to be in control of what you do and don't have. You just need to align to the truth of you. And especially as women, you must learn to receive, not do. Like the doing, let's learn to do more receiving.
Oh my God, I love this. Queen's Table, listen up to Emma. Okay. I think that this is going to be a game changer for anyone listening to this. Please go and get her book. If they want to work with you, if they want to go, oh my God, I want to understand this, where should people go to get their charts or find out more how they can work with you in regards to doing this with them in their business?
Yeah, great. Look, probably the best place to go first to my website, emmadunwoody.com, and get your free chart, even if you already have one, because when you get your chart with us, we're going to send you the links to the podcast episodes that are specific for your design. So we have so many free resources because, again, I was one of those people that had no money, but they're like, I really want to change my life. So there are so many of those resources. And then ultimately, if you want to completely transform your life and do it with like-minded people that become lifelong friends, then we always have the HDX Collective, which is just my family. So you can check me out on Instagram, The Human Design Coach, listen to the potty. Yeah, that's me.
You are the bomb. And what's next? What are you doing next? Traveling?
Well, yeah, we're actually off to do surf camp in Sri Lanka in February,
Gosh, how cool.
which will be fun. Yeah. We've got a bunch of retreats on this year, one in Australia and then a couple overseas, one in maybe Costa Rica, we're thinking, and Europe. But yes, so much fun stuff coming up.
Sri Lanka. I'm going to go to Sri Lanka, I think, at the end of this year.
Yeah,
so
cool.
You'll have to give me some notes.
Yeah, definitely.
Emma, we love you. Thank you so much. We'll put all the links for retreats, working with Emma, and of course, grabbing her book because you need it. You need that toolkit. You are incredible. Emma, thank you so damn much.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Woo.